Spot. I'm your host, Blasina Babu, and I'm glad to join you guys on this beautiful spring day. Something that's been pretty popular these days is becoming a vegan, and my question is, why? It's becoming an increasing social trend as there's been a 600% increase in people identifying as vegans in the US in the last 3 years, according to a research firm, Global Data. Here to answer my questions is animal activist Miss Bethany Hardesty.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. So, welcome to the Animal Spot, Bethany. Thank you for taking your time to be here. Can you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
Thank you so much for having me today. I've been working in the animal rights field for many years now, and I have some super strong opinions on why veganism is the way of life.
So why did you make such a big change in your life by becoming a vegan?
Well, I just want to start out by saying that I believe all lives matter, and that killing animals for any reason is just inhumane. This is why I choose to be vegan. According to the Seattle Times, the average consumer eats about 222 pounds of red meat and poultry per year, which to me is a crazy amount.
Whoa, that's crazy. I didn't even realize we consume such a large amount of meat and poultry.
Yes, I agree. Knowing that, think about how many animals are killed to support that.
So, in your opinion, is there any way an animal can be humanely slaughtered, or is that not possible?
Well, while there are options that make the actual killing process painless, there are more things to consider than just that. Beef cattle, chickens, and pigs, for example, are often killed way before they have the chance to experience life. Also, they often live in very inhumane conditions while they're in the growing stages of their life. I was recently reading a popular article from OneGreenPlanet.org, which expressed 10 alarming facts about the lives of farm animals. For instance, 90% of broiler chickens are unable to walk properly just because of the sheer weight of the meat on their body. But not that it would matter, because they live in such small cages that they wouldn't be able to walk around anyways.
Wow, I didn't even know those facts, but thank you so much for your time, Bethany. I really appreciated your strong point of view regarding humane slaughter and how veganism is really important. Next up, we have a scientific approach in answering a question, Dr. Raquel Longoria. Welcome, Doctor. Can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Howdy, my name is Raquel Longoria, a doctor of veterinary medicine. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Of course.
I'm looking forward to answering any questions you may have about humane slaughter guidelines.
So, Doc, we wanted a more scientific point of view, and who better to ask than a vet, right? So can you tell us why millennials are going towards veganism? Do you think it's because they have a better understanding about humane slaughter?
Well, there's quite the controversy with this topic. In my opinion, no. I do not believe people are turning towards veganism because of a better understanding of humane slaughter. It's quite the opposite, actually. Most people who are against animal slaughter typically do not know enough about it. They simply don't know the facts. And the fact is that under the Humane Methods of Slaughter Act, the HMSA of 1978 is enforced by law that animals must be humanely handled and slaughtered.
Gotcha. So can you tell me a few ways animals can be humanely slaughtered, and what are some key guidelines?
Well, here in the U.S., all animals are humanely slaughtered. That's the law. It is dependent on the species, of course, and what the particular species is being used for. But there are various methods of humane slaughter. Animals must be rendered unconscious before slaughter and resulting in the loss of brain function. So there are 4 basic humane slaughter methods to produce unconsciousness. 1, physical disruption of the brain activity, for example, blunt cranial trauma, a penetrating captive bolt, or a gunshot. 2, eleptiform is eleptiform brain activity, or commonly known as stunning or electric stunning. Hypoxia, which is controlled by a low atmospheric pressure, and direct depression of neurons necessary for life function, which would be exposure to carbon dioxide. So to make sure that slaughterhouses are following these guidelines, the U.S. government has employees set in place that are specifically trained for inspections. Also, a veterinarian performs an ante-mortem and a post-mortem inspection of all animals to ensure that they are healthy.
So I never realized the US was so strict with animal slaughter, and I'm more appreciative of that fact now. Thank you so much for your time, Doctor.
Thank you.
And for being here. You gave us a lot of scientific information that both the listeners and I really appreciate. Thank you once again. Next up, we have our final interview with the rancher who will give us a more behind-the-scenes point of view. Welcome, Rancher Haley Tisdale. Please introduce yourself, Haley.
My name is Haley Tisdale, and I am one of the owners of many ranches around this area. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Of course, girl. So personally, on your ranch, how do you and your staff handle the issue of humane slaughter? And why is humane slaughter important to your company?
So, humane slaughter is something that is very important to our company as a whole, and our animals are our number one priority, and their comfort is most important to us. When we go through the process of slaughtering an animal, we always stun the animals before draining the blood from the animal's body, which is a key part in the slaughter process. Getting the blood out as quickly as possible ensures the freshness of the meat. In order to do this, we stun them and then slit their throats. Going through this process and keeping the animals as comfortable as possible makes the meat a better product for sale.
So how are animals that are slaughtered on your farm treated compared to the ones that are not? Is there a difference in treatment or not?
Well, I'll talk about cattle just because I believe that is the easiest. In general, cattle diets are regulated by the farmer to provide the needing nutrients of each herd in any given season.
Mm-hmm.
Diets are similar for beef and dairy cattle, but have some small differences. Many beef cows start out being grass-fed in the pasture, sometimes supplemented with hay or silage. After beef calves are weaned, they are given a balanced diet of corn, hay, or silage, and the supplements to boost their growth until they're market ready. Dairy cattle have a diet that usually consists of hay, grain, and other silage. Dairy cows can be bred with a beef bull or a dairy bull depending on the market and also what the farmer desires. So young female dairy cows would be kept as part of the herd, whereas beef cattle are generally sent to market around 2 to 3 years of age. Dairy cows have to be milked twice a day, so the herds generally stay close to the barn and the farmer. But beef cows do not have to come into the farm as often as dairy cattle, so herds are often further away from the barn for several days at a time, being able to roam.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for your time, Haley. It's been a pleasure to have you here on the show. So we've heard a lot of different perspectives about humane slaughter and why veganism is on the rise. So before I sign off, I want to ask y'all what you think. Do you now have a different perspective on what you eat? I want to give a special thank you to all of our special guests and to our awesome listeners. This is Blasina Babu signing off of Animal Spot.